So for our final project this term, I'm going to be looking at different parts of the museum related to industry, and I thought it would be good to make this, we've got 2 weeks, and to make it a figurative composition project. And I'm looking this week at effectively some settings for our model. Pete's going to model the week after next in the studio, and we'll get him to do industrious things. So I'm thinking in terms of kind of industrial-like settings for a working figure. So I think charcoal rubberway might be a good place to start. So cover the page with the charcoal. And as I look at these various machines and structures, I mean, I hope it's not too much of a guy thing, but if it's a bit of a challenge to get some of these complicated pieces of machinery working in a drawing, then maybe charcoal rubberway is a good place to start. You can draw with the side of the charcoal, put down very loose shapes. Well, not loose shapes, precise shapes, but shapes that don't have to be too detailed. And that old thing of covering the page with a bit of charcoal means that everything is unified. You can go from a mid-tone to dark, and then start lifting out negative shapes. So I think that could work pretty well. I'm thinking of a sort of, Henry Moore mining setting perhaps, or so I'll put some Kate Downey images on in the email, because she's great with some of these industrial subjects. So there's something here that I like the look of. It's all rather large scale, so it can be quite hard to get a distance from it to put these drawings together. But there are also quite a lot of models, so that's quite good to enable you to get close to things. So I'll see what else I can find. So it's not necessarily all monumental. Some of it is slightly more human scale. Something like a loom here. So I'm thinking some of these drawing experiences might be a lot to do with negative shapes, even perspective. So I can imagine using a structure like this together with a figure to say something about this industry theme. So again, I'm just using that approach of sliding the charcoal around, getting some dark, noticing that a lot of these beams are, well, they're lit so that there are lighter sides and darker sides. And then, of course, with the eraser, subtracting some of the spaces. And when you work like this, of course, you have to leave things out. And in the process of that, you can begin to hopefully recognize what can be left out and what mustn't be left out. So though obviously these can be complex structures, there's a great lesson in simplifying them and identifying what really matters. And I think because this is all about textiles, I need to make sure that the cloth is something that people can see and understand. So actually the charcoal rubberway, it creates a sharp point on your charcoal So that's quite nice, because then you can go back and put in some of the finer details that are needed. And yeah, so that's another possibility. So clearly there's no end of material here for an industry theme. So I think it'd be good to try and aim for when people make sketches, when you come to the museum on Monday, or if you're working from the photographs that I've taken, that you aim early on for trying to decide what the combination of figure and setting is going to be, so that when we have Pete in the studio, we can actually have some quite specific requests of things for him to do. Sitting at a loom, or spinning, or maybe something to do with the train. And I don't know if it's always good when things sort of join up. So you were doing the sea, you might remember, all those weeks ago. And some of the, I'm actually back up in that room where we first worked, and the first day with the ships and the lighthouses, and so it's always good when things can join up in some way, whether it's to do with technique or subject matter. So there may be things that you embarked on when the subject was the sea that could have could reappear for this different angle, this different approach. There's a train setting. I don't have any red, but it's a nice limited palette. And I've chosen this actually on my knees, looking up, to get more of the dramatic effect of this iron horse. So this is a noisy part of the museum, so I hope I will be heard. But one of the great things about the museum, I think, is how well lit things are. So even this not terribly attractive blade, it's got a kind of heroic quality to it. So that makes me think, what might you want to do with some of this material? Are you going to produce images of industrial heroism, or will it be dark satanic mills, the oppressive nature of these industrial processes? So these might be things worth thinking about, how you want your images to develop. What do you want from your model? What do you want from the setting? As I say, I think the dramatic lighting can be something that can come into the drawing. Something else might be materials as well. Again, thinking of Kate Downey, she did a whole number of drawings of, I want to say, I think maybe they were coal yards or something, but she did actually draw with coal dust. So possibly as well as her charcoal, or instead of her charcoal, she drew with handfuls of coal dust. I myself have been known to make drawings of peat cutters, using peat water. So that might be something, if you've enjoyed with the early people working with different materials in order to make some point about your subject, then there may be scope for that with this theme as well. So I think maybe that's enough to get you started. We'll be in the museum on Monday, and we can range about all these different places. And the following week I'll have Pete in the studio and I'll ask him to do a number of worker-like poses. And I've taken photographs, so for those of you who aren't able to come to the museum, they'll be useful to you, but you may also find your own reference material, I'm sure. Okay, well, see you tomorrow then.